Thank you very much. The next question is concerns energy priorities in London, and it's from Assembly Member Polanski.
Thank you for your question. A fairer London means warmer homes, lower bills, and clean energy for Londoners. Secure and affordable energy for Londoners is a matter of social justice, as far as I'm concerned. For too long, Londoners have been at the behest of volatile energy markets because of our reliance on fossil fuels, and it's the most vulnerable Londoners who are most impacted by these changes. That's why across London we're retrofitting our public estates, making them more affordable to heat, reducing fuel poverty, and freeing up funding for key services. London's energy transition will reduce bills, improve energy security, create new high-quality jobs, and improve Londoners' health whilst also reducing carbon emissions. Last year, I launched Warmer Homes London in collaboration with London councils. In 1 year, we've supported the retrofit of over 1,000 homes, of which over 600 homes have received Trustmark lodgement, with more to follow, providing households with warmer, cooler, healthier, more affordable places to call home. Over the next 2 years, we'll accelerate delivery and support even more Londoners to retrofit their homes through London's integrated settlement. My Zero Carbon Accelerator continues to support public sector institutions like the NHS to decarbonise, saving money which can be put back into frontline health services for Londoners. This has supported 7 NHS trusts across 8 solar and heat pump projects, with estimated annual energy savings of over £515,000. My Greener Schools programme has supported over 40 schools so far to install solar panels and other carbon-saving measures, saving them thousands of pounds a year, which can be spent on other priorities. I welcome the government's local power plan and support for community energy. In London, I'm already supporting almost 200 community energy projects, and soon I'll announce the successful projects in the 8th round of my Community Energy Fund, empowering local communities to reduce fuel poverty and democratise our energy system. My intention is for 100% of Transport for London's power consumption to come from clean sources by 2030, demonstrating our commitment to clean energy across the GLA Group. And this is evidenced by recent agreements with EDF Renewables and SSE Energy Solutions to provide clean power to TfL, covering 10% of its current electricity consumption. I look forward to continuing driving an energy transition for Londoners, whilst working closely with the government and partners to ensure that interventions to make energy more affordable works for London.
Thank you very much. And as always, thank you for framing it as an issue of social justice. We know that the UN Secretary-General said this is the crucial decade of action on the climate crisis, and cities have a major role to play. We also know that we're in a cost of living crisis where people are facing a toxic combination of high bills and low wages and really being squeezed. So affordable, secure energy is a key place to go. A lot of the measures you're saying are good. They feel quite siloed, and I don't even necessarily mean that as a criticism. I know some of it is just about what's in your powers. What I'm interested, though, is when we look at 2030, what is your vision of affordable, secure energy for all Londoners?
So actually, his criticism is a fair one. They're in silence because the funding comes from different pots of money. It's frustrating, right, the lack of joined-upness. And it answers his bigger question, which is if we got an integrated settlement, if we got monies devolved to London in one pot, we could have some joined-upness. I'll give you a simple example. The power purchase agreement we've got with TfL is TfL using its procurement power to change the market, right? Well, actually, think about the police and the fire service and all the other councils and NHS. Think of the power of the public sector in London to affect the market in terms of procurement. And so, by 2030, we'll have made lots of progress. I don't think we'll get to, on current trajectory, net zero in London by 2030. I think we'll get there for GLA Group, which is quite a big achievement, bear in mind what we started with. What I'd like is not just more devolution, but the grid's got to change. I mean, a lot of the problems we're having is because the grid relies upon fossil fuel, historical fossil fuel. If we can change the grid, the opportunities are huge. Final thing to answer your question, I know time is short. We've got to retrofit buildings. So from a standing still going forward, I'm really hopeful. But what about all the stuff that's been built 100 years old, 60 years old? And so you're almost giving people renewables, cheaper bills, but they're letting it out because their buildings aren't properly insulated and so forth. So a combination of two things, dealing with supply, but also dealing with the issue of the infrastructure we've got in London.
Yeah, and that integrated settlement feels really important from government. You mentioned a milestone there, which was to have TfL as 100% on clean energy. I'm wondering about what other milestones there are, because you just said that we won't necessarily hit net zero by 2030, which is worrying. But if we're having this conversation in a year's time, what target should we be looking at, particularly in light of fuel poverty? Is there an amount of Londoners, for instance, you want to remove from fuel poverty?
Yeah, so thanks for the question and the interest he takes in this. So firstly, I mean, Caroline Russell, sitting to members left, worked with us in terms of carbon budgeting.
Yep.
And she will tell you where we began to where we are, light years. We want to make more progress on carbon budgeting, but wouldn't it be great if everyone was doing carbon budgeting, right? Because you start thinking about things differently. In fact, the design concept, when it comes to renewing a fleet, when it comes to so I think that changes your thinking if you've got it at your core in relation to this. So we currently have 300,000 households in London fuel poverty. That's got to come down, obvious reasons. I can't give him a figure of how much I want it to come down by, because we're affected to some extent by the cap the government's got until end of June. Clearly, I'll be lobbying for that cap to be extended for obvious reasons. I mean, people pay higher bills in autumn and winter than they do in spring and summer for obvious reasons. In the meantime, what I want to do is give Londoners the tools to reduce their bills. We've got a cost of living hub. We're giving people advice in terms of how they can maximise benefits, but also can we retrofit their homes? Can we help with insulation? Can we help with public buildings as well? So families are facing a cost of living crisis, but the public sector are also facing challenges in terms of the monies they've got. So we want to help both.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Assembly Member Lord Duval.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think you can also tell, look, I'll tell you what, I've got to say this because it's festering away in me. I'm disappointed in the member because I know he could be better by not making a personal statement off the clock earlier on about his personal position, which arose in the last couple of weeks. Now, Mr. Mayor, what you can say to that member as well, in 2030, what we're not going to do is those members to the right of you and the members to the right of me, we ain't going to be doing fracking in Croydon and relying on issues of that and or in terms of unfettered issues. We're going to maintain our commitment to the green agenda in terms of that energy security and social justice that you've just had the exchange on. But be very clear, those seeking simple solutions that take us back to the past will cause untold damage to our future and future generations. And we're going to have no truck with that. We'll have no truck with that.
There's 2 points to respond to. The passionate observation made by the member is, firstly, people have been sold a pup. The idea you can, by giving a licence, affect the international market when it comes to the amount of energy you pay this summer and autumn. It's just not true. I mean, the price you pay for your electricity bill and gas bill is not affected in the short to medium term by licensing or fracking taking place in North Sea, elsewhere. That's not how the international markets work. And that's actually one of the reasons, part saving the planet and tackling the climate emergency, one of the reasons to have energy security. Because if you've got renewables, think of community energy. You're democratising the production of energy with solar panels and so forth. So, but also you can control the cost as well. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, saving the planet and addressing the cost of living crisis as well. And unfortunately, there are some people for short-term political posturing, because people have got fears that they are just talking nonsense. And that's why it's really important to call them out as he's done. And that's why there needs to be a coalition of us, not just Labour politicians, Green politicians, hopefully Lib Dems, and others calling out the nonsense from some in relation to fossil fuels and in relation to renewables.
And Mr. Mayor, then just following on from that, here we are in this great capital, this great centre of innovation, academic, business, creativity. What can we do to bring, I think the member said we work in silos, how do we bring some of that growth agenda to move on to those new technologies that are constantly changing? I'm thinking in terms of batteries and the use of batteries, of better storage of energy in some areas. There are obviously numerous other areas. So what can we do here in London to capture that, bring those partners together and actually build on that, get a win-win situation of also what we said, and we're just missing in some of that earlier exchange about jobs as well, in terms of that could arise from that.
One of the things, bless you, one of the things that we've worked on over the last year is a growth strategy for London. And actually, it's been on a cross-party basis. The Mayor of Croydon, for example, has played a big role in relation to working with us.
Don't tell them, because they'll stop it.
Because it's got to be cross-party. It's got to be councils, businesses, universities. The Deputy Mayor for Business has done a brilliant job. And that addresses some of the points the member raised, because he's spot on. We want to turn this crisis into an opportunity. But also think about the more than 50 universities in London doing great innovation, from carbon capture to cell technology to solar and so forth. The government's going to help with the sovereign wealth fund, in terms of keeping some of that intellectual property and in this country. But think about, ask the question: what is the future of our country? Medium-sized country, 70 million people. We've seen the impact of Putin's invasion of Ukraine, Trump's war with Iran. We've got to be energy secure. And I think he's spot on in terms of opportunities for us. We're pivoting our adult education budget to train more people in these future-proof, well-paid green jobs. Who's going to make the electric cars, the electric buses? Who's going to install the solar panels? Who's going to make the solar panels? Who's going to make the wind turbines? Who's going to install them? The electric vehicle charging points, and I could go on. And so there's huge opportunities for us in London. And also there's a first mover advantage in terms of some of this stuff as well. There are some challenges. We've got an issue with the grid and power for homes, but also power for data centres. These are conversations that we should be having out in the open, rather than sort of hoping we get some of the crumbs from what's happening elsewhere.
Thank you.
Thank you.